you've got the Pacific, you've got the Atlantic, you've got the Central, you've got the Metropolitan. Now I need to select which NHL division is the strongest of them all. Well, I should actually say the intro. Hello and welcome back to another video. So, as I said, which division is the strongest? Pacific really winked it, you know what I'm saying? They trash. Let's just start off with that, and then it comes down to the other three, really. Really, the other three divisions are actually close in skill and teams, and the Pacific's just there looking like garbage. But actually, since that's the case, I'm going to start off with the Pacific Division, because I'm going to go over every division, and then I'm going to make my pick over which division is the strongest. So, to start, we've got the Pacific Division. The Pacific Division consists of the three California teams, Anaheim, Los Angeles, and San Jose. The two Alberta teams, Edmonton and Calgary. And then you also got Vancouver. And then now you got Seattle and Vegas as well. In this division, we have, so Anaheim. Last year, Anaheim, bottom team, 8th out of 8th in their division, their West Division. And they will suck, alright? They suck. And they just 17, 30, and 9. Not a good team. And then, this is in alphabetical order, alright? I'm going through each division in alphabetical order. So then you got Calgary. Calgary, they're mediocre. They could bounce back and make the playoffs. But if they were in another division right now, I would not be saying this. I would not be saying Calgary could make the playoffs if they were in another division, because the other divisions are actually good, where the Pacific only has 2 teams that made the playoffs last year, which is insane. By the way, Calgary 26-27-3 finished 5 out of 7 in the North last year, which was seen as a weak division. I don't think it was as weak as everybody makes it out to be. And Calgary is just, I mean, they could make it because of the division they're in. Edmonton, one of the only good teams in this division. They were 35-19-2 last year, finished 2nd out of 7 in the North Division, and I see them definitely making the playoffs this year without a doubt. They're a good team. They have good depth on the forwards now, I think. Their biggest problem right now, I think, is, honestly, Ken Holland ruined what could have been an amazing offseason for the Oilers, which sucks as an Oilers fan. It just sucks because Ken Holland kind of ruined it for the most part. But the biggest issue right now, I'd say, for us is goaltending, because you can't depend on Mike Smith to put up good numbers as a 40-year-old. Again, after he had a career year at 38, you can't expect him to put those numbers up again at 39. Los Angeles, a team that could possibly make the playoffs in this division. 21-28-7. They finished 6 out of 8 in their, where were they last year? I want to say the West Division as well. Screw it. In the West Division. And they, in this division could make it. Again, in another division, they could not make it. In LA, they picked up Philip Denault. They picked up, who else did they pick up? They picked up, having a brain fart. Oh my gosh. It doesn't matter. They picked up guys. They made some good moves. I think Philip Denault might be an overpayment. A lot of people like that contract, though, but I don't know about that. Then you've got San Jose. San Jose, are they a good team? Are they a bad team? Well, guess what? San Jose has no idea what they are, because it seems that they think that they're a good team, but they aren't. That's the easiest way to put it. They are like, yes, we're amazing. We're going to make the playoffs every year. And then they make moves showing that they believe in themselves, and then they miss the playoffs every year. So this is something that San Jose has some rough contracts. I think they're the next team that's going to be like a long playoff drought, honestly. I could see that being the thing, like the next Buffalo, but not as bad. You can't be as bad as Buffalo. Like, I feel bad for Buffalo fans. Everybody feels bad for Buffalo fans. Seattle. So what's Seattle? No one knows because they've never played a game before. They have great goaltending. They have good defense. Their forward group is last time I checked, I don't think it's the greatest, but they could be a playoff team. I could definitely see them taking that third spot in this division, for sure. It's definitely a possibility. Then you got Vancouver. Vancouver had definitely a rough year, but you have to remember they also had Pedersen injured the whole year, and they made some moves this offseason, and I think this is my team that I think will be third in the division. If Pedersen and Quinn Hughes could just get their contract signed already with Vancouver. Vancouver could just work this out with them. They finished last place in the North last year, but they also had a very crunch schedule at the end. And I just think that they're better than that, and they will come out better this season. And then you got Vegas in this division. Vegas is the other of the two teams that made the playoffs last year in this division. So Vegas 40-12-2 last year. They finished second out of 8 in their West division, as well as second out of 8 in, I think, the entire league. It might have been third, but they were one of the best teams in the league, lost in the conference finals. So that's Vegas. You got two good teams in this division. Now let's move on to the other division in the West. We got the Central Division. So starting off alphabetically, we've got Arizona. Arizona, 24, 26, and 6. They finished 5th out of 8 in their... Was they also in the West Division? They were, weren't they? Yeah, they did. In the West Division. And Arizona, though, this season, obviously they got a whole lot worse, but on purpose. You see, they're trying to they're like, no, this Central Division is too strong. We're not going to make it. So they're like, okay, the best move for us is to sell off, take a bunch of bad contracts, get a ton of draft picks. And honestly, I think that's smart, considering this upcoming draft is stacked. Then you got Chicago. Chicago last year was 24, 25, and 7. They finished 6 out of 8 in their, was it the Central Division? I think. And they have gotten better. I don't know what to expect of Chicago. I could definitely see them making the playoffs. That's the thing about this. If I look at the rest of the teams in here, you could make an argument for why each one could make the playoffs. Every team other than Arizona, you can make an argument for why they could make the playoffs. But in Chicago, it's one of those teams, for sure. Colorado, the President's Trophy winner last year, 39, 13, and 4. They finished first out of 8 in their West Division last year and first out of 31 in the league. Second round loss, again. That's might be the third year in a row. I think it's the second year. I'm not sure, but they've lost in the second round quite a bit. They're hoping to get past that this year. They're one of the teams in this division that I say, yeah, they're a playoff team, and I can't see how they missed the playoffs. Dallas, 23, 19, 14, dealt with so many injuries last year. A lot of COVID, I think, problems down there with them as well. They finished 5th out of 8 in their Central Division, and they're planning to bounce back. Obviously, they're planning to bounce back. I think they'll bounce back. Dallas, Rope hints. Hopefully, he's ready for the season. I don't know what's going on with him. Then you got Minnesota. So here, Kirill Kaprizov is really the wild card in this because if they don't get Kirill Kaprizov, then they're down Arizona territory. They're not making the playoffs at all. Or if they do get Kirill Kaprizov, they could definitely be one of the teams in the mix for that top 4 or 5 spot where they make the playoffs. Minnesota finished 3 out of 8 in their West Division last year. They were 35, 16, and 5, and I could definitely see them making the playoffs. Nashville, you can make an argument for them making the playoffs, but I don't think they will. They went 31, 23, and 2 last year. They finished 4th out of 8th in the Central, and they made the playoffs after having a rough first half. They had a really good second half. They could definitely make it, but I just don't see it. Because UC Saros is definitely capable of getting them to that spot, but I just don't think it'll happen this year. Then you got St. Louis in the West Division, finished 4th out of 8th. Made the playoffs, lost in the first round to Colorado. 27-20-9 was their record. St. Louis is this the year St. Louis finally is out of contention? I like that Buchnevich trade for them. I don't know why New York gave up Buchnevich, but they did, and St. Louis got him, and I think that was a good move for St. Louis. And also, yeah, will St. Louis make it? And then the other team that I think will make it this year, I think there's two teams that I can look at and be like, yep, they're making it. I think Winnipeg makes it 100%. Winnipeg 30-23-3 last year, ended the season rough. They were in 3 out of 7 in the North, got third in the North, and they have great forward depth. Their defense, they fix a lot of problems on their defense, and they got Connor Hellebuck in net, who is a Vezina caliber goaltender. I don't see a way that Winnipeg misses the playoffs. In this division, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams out of the 8 that made the playoffs last year, and they're very well will probably be 5 out of 8 teams in this division that make the playoffs again this year. Moving on to the Atlantic Division, starting off with Boston. Boston last season went 33-16-7. They finished 3rd out of 8 in their East Division. What were their East? West? North? Yeah, East Division. Oh, who was in the East Division? Was Buffalo in the East Division? And 3 out of 8. And they've made the playoffs last year. They only got better this year, in my opinion. Losing Krejci hurts, but getting Ullmark is a nice addition. And Ullmark and Swayman is, I think, a great goalie tandem. And their defense is fine. Everything looks good. Then you got Buffalo, the greatest team in the league. They went 15-34-7, and they were 8th in their division last year. But here's the thing. And after you're at Buffalo's area, things can only get better, right? You know the saying, when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go up. Well, Buffalo must have dug under the rocks because things got worse this year than they were last year. Somehow. I don't know how that's possible. Owen Power's sitting there probably just crying. And then you got Detroit. Now Detroit's gotten better this year. I could actually see them competing I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I think they'll be competing until the end for a playoff spot, but I don't think they will make it. They went 19-27-10 last year, finished 7th out of 8th in their division, but Stevie Yzerman has made amazing moves. I don't think he's made a bad move this offseason. All the contracts seem fine. Everything seems good. Yeah, and then you got Florida. My pick to win the Stanley Cup is Florida. They got 37-14-5. They finished 2nd in their division last year, the Central, and they have very, very good forward depth. They have a good blue line, and then they have probably good goaltending, I assume. You got Spencer Knight and Bobrovsky. One of them should be hot, at least, right? I mean, they're both good goalies. Bobrovsky has been a good goalie, so one of them will be hot. And you got Montreal. Montreal made the playoffs last year, made the finals last year, 24-21-11. And I don't think they will make it this year, sadly. I don't. Unless 5 teams make it from the Atlantic, but I just don't see that happening. Montreal is just like a fringe playoff team who happened to make the finals last year. And I just don't see them making it again. And then next I have Ottawa. Ottawa went 23-28-5. They finished 6 out of 7 in their division last year. Ottawa's gotten better. I don't think that they will be quite there yet. I don't think they're quite in that playoff area yet. But maybe I think next year is when they really, really take that step forward to the playoffs. Then you got the former Stanley Cup champions, Tampa Bay, 36-17-3. You know what's better than 1 cup? 2. You know what's better than 2 cups? A dynasty, which is what they're going for this year. They finished 3rd in their division, and I don't think they'll win it again. They lost that entire 3rd line, which was very good. But they still got a very good team, even without them. So I still think they definitely make the playoffs without a doubt. And then you got one of the greatest regular seasons team, but worst playoffs team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto, 35-14-7 last year. 1st in their division. Well, first in their division. They're playing Montreal. Please, they're gonna win. They're gonna go far in the playoffs. Oh, what's that? They lost a 3-1 lead in the playoffs. Yes, they did. Let's go Toronto. But no, seriously, they are a good team. I think they make the playoffs for sure. Without a doubt, I think they make the playoffs. In this division, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that made the playoffs last year in this division. And I think 4 teams will make it this year, if I'm being honest. I think it'll be 4 from each division. But moving on to the last division, the Metropolitan, whatever. This division is another good division, really. I think they're okay, but they're good. Carolina, we'll start off with Carolina. 36-12-8. They finished first in their division. They're still a good team, yes, but they lost a lot of players, and that's just... I don't know what Carolina's doing. I don't know why they're so cheap. They could have easily been a Stanley Cup contender this year, but because they didn't sign Nedeljkovic, because they didn't sign Hamilton, they're not. And also, I think Svechnikov still needs to be signed right now. Next, you got Columbus, who went 18-26-12. They finished last in their division, and I'm expecting them to finish last this year. They're just not a great team. I don't see them doing good this year either, because they're selling. They don't want to do good this year, I don't think. Well, obviously they want to, but I don't think they expect to. They want that first pick. They want that Shane Wright coming home with them this year. Next, you got New Jersey. Now, New Jersey, I think, is a dark horse, not to win the Cup, but to make the playoffs. New Jersey made some great moves this offseason, or some big moves, I should say. And they finished 7th out of 8th in their East Division last year, but I could definitely see them taking that step up, making the playoffs. They will definitely be competing to the end in my eyes. And then next, we got the Islanders. So Islanders are a good team. They're a better playoff team than regular season team. The problem right now with the Islanders is that they still don't have, as I'm filming this, they don't have Zajac signed, they don't have Palmieri signed, and then I don't know who the other one is. Is it Beauvillier? I don't know. Someone else isn't signed on the Islanders. And the Islanders also are in a pretty good division, and they're a better playoff team than a regular season team, which means I could see them not making the playoffs. It's when they get to the playoffs they really show off that skill that they have. They don't usually play like that during the as good in the regular season. Don't play as good. Then you got the Rangers, a team that's barely missed the playoffs the last 2 seasons. Will they finally make it this year? Maybe. They lost Buchnevich, but then you also got Lafreniere and Kako, who should take steps up. And then you got your goaltenders. Gorgiev apparently wants a trade, but that doesn't matter. I mean, they'll trade him, I guess. They got Shesterkin, who's a very good starter. There you have a lot of defensive prospects, good defensive players. New York, I could see maybe making the playoffs this year. Sorry, I had to go for like 3 hours to go do something. But now I'm back, and I'm almost done filming. You might hear children screaming up there. Don't worry. It's just my little sister. Don't worry. There's nothing wrong about that. She's just screaming upstairs because her friend's over. But that's okay. I had to go for like 3 hours. But anyway, next. Philadelphia. So Philadelphia, 25-23-8. They finished 6th in their division. Did they do enough to make the playoffs? I don't know. I don't know if they actually did enough to make it. But here's the thing. They always have this weird pattern going where they make it and then they don't. And this year, if it continues, they'll make it. So I think that they're going to make... Do I? If that wasn't a pattern, I would say no. But because of the stupid pattern and it's been going for so long. So I'd have to say that they do because of the pattern. Yeah, they finished 6 out of 8 in the East and they didn't make it. Carter Hart's got to have a bounce back, right? And then you got Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was first in their division, and that kind of shocked me when I saw that, because, like, you don't think of it that way. They exited in the first round again. Pittsburgh, 37-16-3. They finished first, and they are getting older, honestly. I think they'll make the playoffs still, but every year I feel like they're going to drop out, and they just never do. And this year, though, could be the year. Every year could be the year. But I still think that they'll make the playoffs. They're still a good team in there, and they made the playoffs last year. And the last team in this division is the Caps. So the Caps finished second out of 8th in the East, right behind Pittsburgh. They were 36-15-5. Another first-round exit. And they finished 36-15-5. They were 2 out of 8. And I honestly could see them dropping out this year. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like that might be my prediction, is that Washington drops out. We'll see when I get there. I'm not doing my season predictions till October. But now that I've run down literally every division, every team in the NHL, which ones do I think are the best and which ones are the worst? I'm going to start off at number 4. As I said earlier, at number 4, I have the Pacific Division. The Pacific Division only has 2 teams that made the playoffs last year. You have Edmonton, you have Vegas, and then the rest of the teams, the California teams, they aren't that good. Calgary's looking to bounce back. Seattle hasn't played yet. Vancouver's looking to bounce back. And one of those teams I just mentioned will make the playoffs, so it'll be interesting to see which one. But yeah, Pacific definitely has the worst division. At number 3, I have the Metropolitan. So the Metropolitan, the reason I have them at 3, or instead, like the worst of the divisions that don't suck, is because Carolina, they're still good. They got a little worse. Columbus, not good. New Jersey, they're not necessarily there yet. I don't think. The Islanders, they're like a wild card team. The Rangers, they're like a wild card team. Philadelphia, a wild card team. Then Pittsburgh and Washington, we're just waiting for them to draw it. I don't see one team in here that I think, man, they're amazing and they're my cup favorite. I don't see that one team in this division, which is why I have them at number 3. At number 2, I have the Central Division. The Central Division has Arizona. I'm just going to run it down again. Arizona, who's bad. Chicago, who's a wild card. Colorado, who's a cup champion. Dallas, who's a wild card. Minnesota's a wild card. Nashville's a wild card team. St. Louis is a wild card team. And then Winnipeg's a solid team. So you got all these teams that aren't bad competing for playoff spots. And it's just a really good division where a lot of these teams are teams that should be playoff teams or competing for playoff spots. And that's why I have the Central at number 2. And finally, at number 1, I have the Atlantic. It's taken a long time to get here, 20 minutes, but hey, we're here. So the Atlantic has Boston, who's seen as having maybe one of their final runs for the Cup, a very good team. Then you have Buffalo, when Buffalo's trash. And that's really, Buffalo's the only team that's trash in this division. Then you have Detroit, who's gotten better, could be competing. You have Florida, who is my Cup pick. You have Montreal, who's a wild card. They could make it, they could, and maybe not. You have Ottawa, who's getting better and is really young. And then you have Lightning, the Cup champions, and Toronto, who's one of the best regular season teams in the league. So this division, in my opinion, is the most stacked division and could even maybe have 5 teams against the Metro, in my eyes, which would be surprising. So yeah. Thank you for watching this ASMR video. Today it was great to film, and thank you. Oh my goodness, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.